Welcome, sentient beings from all known universes and beyond. It's time to activate your cranial downlinks and prepare to receive a raft of discussion on a cosmic ocean of science fiction and fantasy topics, interviews with local area genre devotees, and insightful prognostication by our soothsayers of science fiction, our forecasters of fantasy, and any other beings that happen to get caught in our gravity well. This is the Galactic Driftwood Podcast.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. I'm Bill.
I'm Linda.
I'm Seth.
Charles.
I'm Jenna.
I'm Chris.
And we're going to be talking about some fun stuff today. The new Kong versus Godzilla movies out on HBO. We're going to talk about that. Talk about the Irregulars, which we just watched the last episode of that this past week. And the Nevers. Sorry, I keep saying the Nevers. I think it's the Nevers starting on HBO.
Trying to make it more exotic.
Yeah, is that on HBO or is that on? That's on Disney, I think, isn't it?
Netflix.
I think
Nevers is
Netflix.
HBO.
Netflix.
HBO.
No, it's not on Netflix.
Irregulars is a British crime drama.
No, I'm talking about the Nevers.
Oh, Nevers. Sorry.
Yeah, we'll get our facts straight for the audience.
We'll get it straight. That's
some
Linda's
point.
job as archivist for the show.
Oh, is that what you
HBO.
settled on?
That's her latest title.
Premieres today as of this recording, not as of whenever you guys are listening to this.
Right.
I would like to also add Resident Alien to the mix.
Okay. And Jenna wants to talk about up and coming actors that are starting to take over the sci-fi scene as they're becoming more well known for their appearances in different shows. So, but let's go ahead and kick it off with Kong versus Godzilla. So has everybody seen that?
Yep.
Fun.
Charles?
I kind of saw the beginning and the end, and I kind of slept through the middle last night.
So it was that riveting. So I think Charles.
Well, those epic soundtracks tend to put me out.
You're like, the sound of action.
Let's kick it off with Chris this time and see what his overall thoughts are on the show.
Yeah, so for me, if you were into it for the destruction, I think it was pretty awesome to see the big monster battles. They definitely 100% delivered on that.
Yeah.
If you were in it for a pretty well built out storyline, that was mostly okay. There was a lot of things I thought around. I like the fact that they went back and returned to the Hollow Earth aspect of the Monarch storyline and everything like that, because it was brought up in previous movies, but they haven't really returned back to it. So in this one, they really dive deep into that.
And that's the Hollow Earth as the source of these mammoth creatures.
Yeah, the source of the mammoth creatures,
Titans.
and as well as Kong's origination. Where did Kong's people come from, basically?
I think that goes back to Jules. Was it Jules Verne? Center to the
Journey to the Center of the
Center
Earth.
Yeah.
Right.
And that is a fun trope.
It is, and I like the fact that they went back to that and expanded on it more. As far as that world goes, I wish that they gave some glimpses to kind of Kong's people from what they used to be a little bit more primitive than they would have thought, and some technology and stuff like that there. I wish they would have dug into that a little bit more, and maybe that's something that they'll leave for future movies. But otherwise, I thought it was really great. What was surprising is, as I thought about the movie more after watching it, they did not address once, I think, probably the millions of people that got murdered, basically throughout any of this at all. It was
So
like
much
none of that
collateral
matters.
damage.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
you will see people running and screaming away from something right before Kong smashes the building, and you're like, oh, well, they died.
Yeah, pretty much like, oh, they're dead.
We're
There's
dead.
another
Right.
few hundred. And so I almost wanted to go back and watch it again and try and keep an estimated tally of how many people I think died in that
Yeah.
movie. So I think any other like major catastrophe type movie I've seen, they at least address like maybe the deaths a little bit. And this one, it had nothing to do with the people. All the military or contractors, whoever they were, that were transporting Kong initially across the ocean, all dead.
Yeah, right.
And I'm like, who's signing up for this stuff for these suicide missions? And nobody seems to care that like you're not going to come back.
That's because they're happy they then don't have to pay them out. That's like taxpayer savings.
One thing I was looking for that I didn't see that I thought would have been awesome is, as you know, Godzilla's tail takes out the base of a building and this tall skyscraper falls over. I so badly wanted to see somebody jump out a window on the other side, right as it hits the ground to see if they could survive it. It's that whole trope of jumping as an elevator falls, free falls if you jump a
And then they'd
second
be
before
like,
it hits.
yeah. And then
And
Kong
like,
smashes
yes!
that building, climbing up.
Just steps on him.
Yeah, right.
So
Well, Jenna, what'd you think? What was your? Oh, sorry, Chris, were you done?
Yeah, I'll just finish by saying I enjoyed it though. It was a really good movie. I thought they did really great with the graphics. Storyline was great. It wasn't too long. It wasn't too short. It was really good. I liked it.
Okay, Jenna.
I was glad it was just entertaining that you could,
Yes.
and people seem to be entertained with it, because I kind of get a little irritated that people like, oh my God, this sucks so bad. Like when the other Kong movies came out, there was a lot of like criticism and stuff. I'm like, just enjoy it. It's like that. They have good computer. It's
Graphics.
not about in-depth drama. It's
Yeah.
just
Mhm.
Kong smash.
Giant monkey
enjoy it for
punch
what it is.
giant lizard things.
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean, I think Chris pretty much summed it up like my philosophy pretty well. And I think it's okay. We need to let movies just be fun sometimes. That's why I'm a big fan of the B horror movies. Is it the greatest graphics or actors? No, but you get a good myth. I love a good mythos.
Yeah. Seth.
I had a great time with it. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like there were so many parts where I was just like, this is so dumb. But monkey punch lizard, yay! Building goes smash. Woohoo!
Right.
Because before this even came out, there was this whole argument like Godzilla, if you look at the scales of the fiction, could carry Kong in a baby holder. So there's no way Kong would win. So
Right.
Just make Kong bigger. Problem solved. Ba-doop, boop, ba-doop, boop. You got a movie.
I thought for sure. I kind of expected Kong to really topple Godzilla on land, but I figured in the sea it would be definitely Godzilla's battle to be won. But it seemed like Godzilla just, took him no matter where he was. He land or sea, Godzilla's the king of the beasts.
Well, I mean, Kong had a hard hill to climb with that atomic breath.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true. But he did have his. So what was that axe thing?
It looked like it was made out of a scale from Godzilla's back.
Oh yeah, you know what? I didn't even connect that to him. To me, it looked like it was machined or something.
Which would explain why he was able to use it against Godzilla. The way
Yeah,
he did.
and
So-
like you guys saw that, like when he and this is another part that's just like, what, why, how?
Yeah.
But like there was that indentation for him to put the axe in the ground,
Mhm.
and then it lit them all these axes up, and it was in the shape of a great big Godzilla glowing.
Oh, there you go.
Right.
Mhm.
So I don't know. Maybe Godzilla is like the god of the monsters, and Kong is just the king.
So as you can see, he does get bigger over time.
Yeah, and that's so on the axe part with like when they find his home world and it looks like there's even a throne there for him. I kind of wish that they could dive into that a little bit more, but maybe that's left for like a future movie or something. But that's kind of like, okay, so we've gotten a Hollow Earth, we find where he comes from, but then there's all this history there that we kind of have to fill the blanks on a little bit.
Right.
That would be nice to kind of know. So maybe there's a prequel that comes out or something later, and that kind
Right.
of
Or maybe,
revisits that.
or maybe even a a little bit of a story as to what happened to the rest of his species.
Right.
He seems to be the only one left.
So yeah, I actually didn't watch the previous Godzilla movies just because I didn't make it to a lot of. I didn't have like HBO Max and didn't make it to these movies in the theaters. So
Well, that's what I was going to ask, because I haven't missed the middle of this. I remember the end of Godzilla. Oh boy.
Nice.
he slept through the middle of that one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No. At the end of Godzilla in the last movie was solving all the world's environmental problems through his existence for some reason.
Are you talking about the Matthew Broderick one? Because there's been, I think,
It had
at
the
least two
same. It
Godzillas
had the same
since then.
straight. It had the same girl in it.
Mm,
Yeah, the Matthew
okay,
Broderick
yeah.
one didn't solve any environmental problems at
No.
the end.
No, so
It might have been in the rolling credits.
in the
Yeah, all of a sudden, the world's environmental problems were being solved because Godzilla was swimming around.
No, that was more of so that was the last Godzilla movie, and they were basically leading to, he's there to keep balance with all those other monsters that were around. That's kind of what his purpose is. To kind of live along with the humans, and the humans, take care of him. He takes care of them, and
That's-
vice versa or whatever.
Right.
But
yeah, because that had the girl from Stranger Things. That's the version you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
That's the
Millie
version I'm
Bobby
talking
Brown.
about.
Yeah, and she was in this.
Yeah.
yeah.
You know who I thought really
gonna say.
shone in this was the deaf girl that did all the signing and taught
Mhm.
King Kong sign language.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I thought that was underutilized a little bit because she could instruct Kong to do things, but he mostly just responded with grunts or roars. I mean, it would have been nice if he would have been, because they do teach monkeys sign language.
He did
Yeah.
do some
He did do
signs.
that.
He did
Yeah.
do very
Oh.
briefly.
Okay.
Yeah, when he was talking about home, because she was trying to
Oh,
understand.
that's right.
Yeah,
That's right, I
and
remember.
later on, there's a conversation they have on the ship where she asks, how come he didn't tell me he can understand sooner? And she's like, he didn't want you to know, because he
Right.
doesn't, he doesn't necessarily trust them. But I do think they could have had more interactions later on, because it was kind of like they did that and then they never really went back to it.
Yeah.
So-
I thought it would have been nice to get a little bit more insight into Kong's thinking and thought process through the signing.
Mhm.
It might have given his character a little more depth. I mean, especially after seeing his apparent home in the center of the hollow earth there, where they've got this like a palace room that they constructed,
Mhm.
right? And they've got these axes. And so it sounds like they've got a little bit more intellectual capacity than you might at first assume just on him being a big brute. And so I thought it would have been nice to see that explored a little bit more. And the other thing that I thought about it, I enjoyed the battle scenes and everything, but one of the things I missed is it didn't seem to have much of a morality tale in it.
Like a morality tale.
Well, like the original, Godzilla was all about mankind destroying the environment and how that gave rise to Godzilla through all this nuclear testing and stuff. And so it was showcasing that, we're destroying our planet and we're going to end up paying for it in the long run. And then with Kong, it was all about man's cruelty to
Mhm.
other men and other creatures. They
Well-
got again, Godzilla seems to have a thing for the ladies because he always, ends up a lady always gets him.
You mean Kong?
Kong. Who did I say? Godzilla? I meant Kong.
Yeah.
Kong.
He doesn't
Kong
think
has
for
a thing for the
eating
ladies,
ladies.
right? The ladies always get him, convince him to do things that ends up in the original stories leading to his destruction, right? Especially with the original one with Fay Ray,
That's the morality of the story. Women lead to your destruction.
well, no, but it's about,
Flynn is like, yes.
man, it kind of showcases, kind of teaches you something about the human condition, I think. and that was kind of missing from this. I mean, it was good entertainment. I thought the battle scenes were really good, very well done.
They left out the femme fatale though.
I mean, no, they kind of had a femme fatale.
Yeah.
But, how about corporate hubris for a morality tale?
Mm-hmm.
And the creation of Mecha Godzilla,
right?
Which was also awesome.
Right. Yeah, I suppose
that actually took me by surprise. I didn't know they were going to have that in the.
Yeah, neither did I. I was like,
movie,
"Oh
so-
my god, Mecha Godzilla!"
I was as soon as I realized what was going on there, I was like, oh my gosh, they did do that. So I was actually pretty excited, and I'm glad they kept that under wraps. That's how not to go off on too far of a tangent, but I do get really annoyed these days when you have these trailers that basically
Give you the
give
whole movie.
all
story.
the big things of the story, and
Sure.
so that was the awesome surprise that they kind of had in there. I'm sure it'll probably show up in future trailers, but I was glad that they did not reveal that subplot, if you will.
Well, I mean, when your action movie is dialed up to 12 like this one is, you've got plenty of
True.
stuff to show in your trailer without
giving away
your big reveal.
You would hope.
Yeah.
You would hope, but there are people who make those decisions that you're like, why did you just give away the whole movie?
Yeah,
right.
yeah. and that's happened a lot with a lot of movies, unfortunately. So, I mean, Gina won't even watch trailers anymore because she doesn't want to get spoiled based off of things they let. So, not to go off in too much of a tangent, but that was a big subplot. I thought that was awesome that they had, where you try to think, well, who's ultimately the villain here in this movie? Is it really Godzilla? But no, Godzilla is actually after something that they're doing, and it's like, well, what are they doing? Oh, they're building a mech. And it's like, oh, we got to stop this, and that's why he's doing it. So, that was kind of the mystery to solve there until you get to like the second half of the movie and realize that they're building a giant mecha Godzilla.
Yeah, and I couldn't actually tell if like Apex was an evil corporation or if they were just, no, we're gonna be humans and take down Godzilla with our mecha Godzilla. But where did Apex get their money from?
Oh, it came from government.
Elon Musk.
Like they had their own navy. They had a giant pyramid built in the middle of Hong Kong.
Mm-hmm.
They have, like, you see them going into the Hollow Earth for the first time, and the whole like entrance is just like these huge building-sized pillars of shit. And it's like the Hollow Earth is still supposed to be some sort of secret that this one scientist is discredited for thinking about, yet thousands and thousands of people had to build this shit.
So I will say, I thought it was pretty interesting that on the Apex side of things, where oh my gosh, I just lost it. You were touching on it earlier, and I totally just lost it when it comes to
How much
Apex.
money they must have?
Well, not only that.
Yeah, well, okay, so I thought that the spin they were going to have was that they were afraid for Godzilla and needed a way to defend themselves in case Godzilla did something they didn't want him to do or whatever. So I thought they were working on defenses or something like that. But that wasn't really the angle. They were just like, no, we're going to conquer Godzilla because we've always got to be the biggest and baddest.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's just kind of dumb because
The apex species.
yeah, like if you think about all the other battles that Godzilla had, all the casualties that you have, right? The collateral damage. It's like, what did you think was going to happen when you were doing this? Like, where did you imagine this battle taking place with your Mecha Godzilla? It was going to happen in a city somewhere.
No, they had the long game in mind. Insurance, man. So now, if these things exist, insurance is going to be a lot more expensive.
But
I'm
the
sure
battle happening in Hong Kong led to one of my favorite scenes from the movie. Well, I had a lot of favorite bits, but Mecha Godzilla just like tearing his way out of that mountain was awesome.
I think Japan was probably happy to see Hong Kong be attacked instead of Tokyo in these movies. They need a little reprieve, but
just a little.
So I had a question about. So at one point in the film, you see Millie Bobby Brown's character with that conspiracy theorist guy, and they get down into sub-level 33 of this
In
you know,
Florida.
Yeah, in Florida.
In Florida.
Right. And they're, sleuthing around trying to figure out what's going on. Then all of a sudden these alarms go off blaring and they run into this chamber filled with these like egg sacs of creatures. And I'm like, at the first sight of the egg sac, I would have gone the other way. I would not have gone into that room. And they all go into the room. And then, of course, with the alarms blowing, then all of course, the doors slam shut and they're trapped in there. And they don't seem particularly horrified by it. And I'm thinking, oh, fuck, they're going to irradiate these sacs. They're going to hatch and they're going to chow down on these guys.
Yeah,
that
I was
didn't
thinking
happen.
a similar thing.
Yeah, that didn't happen, fortunately for the characters. But I'm like, why would they run in there? I would rather be caught and put in a holding cell than be trapped in a room with egg sacs. And what was the whole egg sac thing for? I mean, they sent that whole chamber to Hong Kong for what?
Well, yeah. So when they got to the other side,
To get them there, to get them to Hong Kong. That's.
And what were the egg sacs for? I mean, they just never explained it.
Doesn't
they didn't
matter.
explain it, but my guess was that they were there. They were shipping it across to use as target practice for the Mecha Godzilla or whatever. Because when they get to the final
that could be.
destination, that's what happened. So my assumption was, they let those things hatch and grow, and then they set, they use them as target
practice for Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
Like
They
that one
just
lizard that came out that he battled, right?
But then what I didn't understand is, okay, did you have to transport them? Like, why are you growing them? Like, where are you getting them from? Because why don't you just have them there instead of building what I'm assuming is a $1 trillion elaborate underwater transport system?
Yeah.
Well,
it'd have to be right.
The taxes are better in Florida.
It'd have to be right through the mantle of the earth, I would think.
I was going to say
talk about
monsters just grow better in Florida.
So to get to Hollow Earth, they had to follow Kong through this weird, bizarre maze that changes magnetic fields and all this stuff. And it was a doozy on the way down. And then somehow later on, when Godzilla responds to Kong basically putting the axe into the thing, Kong blows a hole through the earth down to like
Godzilla did that, right?
Or Godzilla, blows a hole through the earth all the way down there, and then they just fly up through like it's nothing.
Right.
And so that part I didn't quite understand.
They do experience it. They just didn't. They had the gravity inversion thing again. They just didn't.
They didn't show it or whatever, but it just seemed like you could look up at each other directly through, whereas before it was kind of some weird...
Yeah, some weird like warp speed kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's somewhere a physicist is just angrily throwing his beer at the TV.
So I felt like that later on after they come back up through that hole to get back up to Hong Kong or wherever, and so I was like, wait, what about all that trouble they had to go through to get there? Mm-hmm. Why did you're telling me we could have just drilled a big gigantic hole straight down and would have gotten there eventually?
Yeah.
So,
Linda,
what were the only rant I had of the whole thing?
There were a lot of times when I can remember going, especially when it's like the kids save the day kind of thing.
Yeah.
They were so dumb.
I know. I was like, Seth, there's somewhat was like, what? But again, if you just look for it for entertainment value, it was entertaining. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I was kind of rooting for those kids to die because they were so dumb.
I'm glad it wasn't just me.
It's just like their own stupid gets them killed, and I'm like, there's a good morality tale. Because it kind of felt like we were supposed to be rooting for the QAnon guy who was going to the pizza shop to find the hidden basement with the child trading. And it's just like, no, there's no basement here.
Yeah, I couldn't root. I found myself not rooting for that guy and hoping that he got killed, actually.
Yeah, pretty much.
And like then at the end where he's like trying to guess the password and it's like, no, I've got a class in HTML. And then he's like, oh, I'll just pour the whiskey on this. Yay, the day is set. I just kind of wanted that to be like, oh, it didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Right.
We were useless in the plot of this entire movie. We had no effect.
Yep.
Like,
Yeah,
I
I
did
thought,
not that want to be what saved the day because it was so dumb. So dumb.
I did like the deaf girl. I thought she acted very well. She was very believable. I kind of thought she was my favorite character in the show because I could feel her compassion for Kong, and I could feel their bond. So I enjoyed her performance. She was the one kid that I was rooting for surviving the whole thing. The rest of them, not so much. I would have been okay kind of with whatever happened. Although I do like Millie Bobby Brown. But Charles, what were your thoughts? We haven't talked about you so much yet.
I think his thoughts were he fell asleep in the middle.
He fell asleep in the middle, but what did you think about the ending? Did you like the way it ended with Godzilla and Kong?
Oh God, and the corporate mega robot.
Yeah, the Mecha Godzilla.
No.
I mean, Charles, let me ask this because you're an architect,
Engineer, but yes.
engineer. What do you think about the construction of Mecha Godzilla? Did you?
Yeah,
have
I
any-
don't think that was gonna. Well, I just think it'd be interesting to hear the sales pitch for the return on investment.
I don't think there was one. Like,
There isn't one.
did this company sell a product?
Who knows?
Well,
They sold insurance.
Yeah.
Well, and your goal as a company is not always to be a monopoly either. Sometimes you have good competitors.
Yeah, who would have been their competitor?
Yeah,
Governments.
that's the thing. The first thing that's going to happen now is the government's going to want to disassemble the company for being a monopoly.
What are they a monopoly of?
Yes,
Of
right.
Mecha Godzilla.
Mecha Godzillas. Yeah, it seemed
Everyone
to
has
me
the
like
right to make their own. Come on now.
it seemed to me like this guy just created this company called, of course, Apex, because he wanted to be like the Apex
But
predator. So there was the girl
Uh.
who played the deaf girl in it, and I really liked her. I thought she did a great
Yeah.
job.
Child
Really
services
hot
would have had a
performance.
fit because they put her in all these situations that no realistic adult would have done
No, that's true.
Yeah, I
That's
know. It's like,
throughout the whole movie.
Well,
why are we taking her to Hollow Earth?
Yeah,
Right, right,
because she's the only one that can communicate with Kong. It's just come on.
right. Like there's no other people that have mastered sign language.
Well, I mean, the other woman that was her caretaker essentially could, and it should have just been a handoff. You need to listen to her because I can't come with you to Hollow Earth. And
Her
then
name
that would
is
have been the end of that. But
Kaylee Hoddle. Hotple.
Yeah.
Kaylee Hoddle.
Yeah.
Maybe
No.
Kong doesn't like adults.
I think
Like,
they should have
don't
just
suck.
let Kong talk, just have it be revealed that he could talk this whole time.
Yeah, and he's like, whatever.
Like Planet of the Apes. He
You know
tells
who
the
did-
humans,
Just kind
"Get
of
your damn dirty hands off me."
no.
Yeah. No, you know who did it? What
Look,
movie
you
was?
people, I let you people build a dome around me, and that was fine. I got tired of it. And then I'm in the fucking ocean where this lizard is.
Why does he have a
Chained
British
up.
accent?
Fuck you guys. You knock me out again, and I'm in the bloody fucking Arctic. Gods! I just want to go back under the earth and get my axe.
So why does Kong
Leave me
have to have a
alone.
British accent?
Yeah, what's with the British accent?
I mean,
Because that's a colonial power. Madam.
Anytime you've got a talking monkey, it's got to have a British accent.
No,
Okay.
you know who did the signing ape really like in a fun action way was Primal. Did any of you all watch Primal?
No, I haven't
Which
seen
was
that.
based off of the arcade game.
was
Yeah.
that
Wait.
Dwayne Johnson?
Yeah,
Based
Yes,
off of
yes, we watched
Primal.
that, yeah.
Oh, right.
Yep.
that was fun.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was a good destroy everything movie too.
Yep, with collateral damage.
Yep.
There's just something fun about giant animals wrecking buildings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Oh, yeah, the lung cancer. Lung cancer's fun.
You mean from the asbestos and all the ceiling tiles that got
Yeah,
dispersed
yeah,
in the
global
atmosphere?
lung cancer.
Do you think they have asbestos tiles in Hong Kong? I wonder what their building regulations are there. Probably more lax than
I don't
maybe.
know.
It's like,
Maybe, I don't know.
You could almost have a movie where it's just like them trying to clean back up after one of these Titan battles.
yeah.
They get all the way through like rebuilding the city. you see them like holding the big ceremonies where they're like, and people can live here again. Godzilla radiation is down 99%. And then you just like see the fin coming out of the water again.
Guys are like, damn it.
You know who actually kind of addressed that in a way? Was the first Tom Holland Spider-Man movie, with all the people taking the technology from the big blowout battle of the Avengers.
From all that.
The fallout from that, the rebuilding the city, they kind of address some of that, and
you had
how there becomes a black market.
Goods that were supposed to be turned in back to the government, and all this stuff that were being traded, and you get
the rise of the supervillains because they're getting their hands on this technology.
I think what might have made a more compelling story for the corporate head of Apex would have been if he had been the super rich billionaire head of some other corporation, but maybe his family had gotten killed in a previous Godzilla attack or something like that, and he decided to dedicate his company's resources to finding a way to combat Godzilla or to get rid of him or destroy him or whatever, because he holds that kind of a grudge against him. That would have made more sense to me than just
it would have made more sense, but it also would have been cliche to like a lot of the other,
I suppose.
Like Batman being pissed off at Superman because
making sense wasn't a part of this movie's goals.
No.
True, very true. Yeah. I mean,
all this movie was about is Godzilla punching King Kong, monkey versus lizard.
Want to cause some trouble. Maybe he was the governor of some Midwestern state who, after getting the death penalty passed, figured it wasn't enough.
In a sense,
I know you're making a reference
sort of a morality
to Ricketts,
play.
but I don't think Ricketts is anywhere near smart enough to do anything like make a
No, because he can't make legal financial decisions. If he could, he'd legalize pot.
You can't make any sort of good decision.
That's a gateway drug.
Completely lean into the Lex Luthor vibe he's trying for.
Yeah.
I thought he was just trying to copy Bezos.
Oh.
Could be, but once again, doing it incompetently.
Yeah.
All right.
I
Well,
hope
let's.
that someday Ricketts gets to hear me call him incompetent in person.
Well, I think we've beaten this dead gorilla enough here. Well, should we move on? We want to talk about the Irregulars. Has anybody not seen that yet?
I watched the first episode.
It's okay. You can spoil. Go.
Okay.
Tell us about why we should be watching it.
Jump into it.
Well, the thing that I thought that I liked about, so the Irregulars, it's based on Sherlock Holmes, kind of. Way. See, I'm going to interrupt you now.
Okay,
go
ahead.
We have input.
Well, because that's what there's a pet peeve. Like if you're going to call it Sherlock Holmes, or if you're going to call the character Sherlock Holmes, I think they should actually be kind of like Sherlock. You don't get to solve the mystery with the occult did it, or the ghost did it, or there's a rift, or steal a plot from Stranger Things.
Agreed.
If you're going to do that, if you're going to do that kind of stuff, you can still steal from Sherlock Holmes like a lot of shows do, and I think it's a really good idea. But you call it the X-Files or House.
They called it the Irregulars.
I was kind of thinking this was an older Holmes who was like kind of lost to his drug addiction.
Well, kind of, but I still, it's for those of us that really read a lot of Sherlock Holmes as a kid, to have the solution be
the occult,
yes.
Versus some sort of logical explanation.
Yes, and Sherlock Holmes has been keeping a grimoire, and
that's Sherlock Holmes.
And it's not that so I just think they should have. You can still have the show, but you don't call it Sherlock Holmes. Now, I also have another state of mind with this, that there were some interesting things they did. So I'm not, but it actually interferes with anything the good they did. It's almost ruined because they called it Sherlock Holmes, the character Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's really a whole reimagining of the thing, right? Because so
leave it alone. It was fine.
I liked how they played with Dr. Watson.
Yeah.
Character.
They kind of made him out to be.
That I liked.
Yeah, they kind of made him out to be sort of a nefarious, sort of a evil, untrustworthy, unsavory kind of a character.
Well, yeah.
So I think what we need to do here is like tell what the Irregulars actually.
Yeah, I was just about to say, like, can you go over what the premise of this series is then, since we have Watson, Holmes.
May I, Bill?
Yes,
because I've seen the first episode.
Yeah,
and not the whole thing. Okay, so think kind of Penny Dreadful meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer, one of those Monster of the Week kind of things.
Okay.
And so you've got in Victorian England, you've got this gang or small group of street toughs, kids just like living out on the street.
They were orphans.
And so you've got your smooth talking orphan, you've got who can get in anywhere and basically get information from anyone. You've got the street tough who's willing to pick a fight with anyone, just like covered in gnarly scars.
That's the guy on the far right of the screen.
I was going to say, I think we can pick him out.
Got the group leader who is tough and not going to take shit from anyone and is going to kind of drive the rest of the group forward. And then you've got the weird magical one who's got powers that no one understands or gives credit to. And then you have the smart kid who comes in from outside and is kind of their brains and also probably their well of bottomless money.
Right. Because he also happens to be the Prince of England.
Prince of England.
They just let him out of the palace whenever.
Yeah, and he's got
who has hemophilia.
Right. So he has hemophilia, and yet he jumps out of second-story windows.
I mean, the guy should have been dead 5 times already.
Oh, we
killed
escape the prince.
Palace.
Uh-oh.
What's that?
Oh, we killed the prince.
But the thing I liked about it was so the leader of the group, a character by the name of B, played by Thadia Graham, she's kind of like the lead actor of the show, and she plays a very strong female lead. And I thought that was really refreshing to see that, because so often you see, especially for that time period, strong male actors in the lead roles. So this has got a female in the lead, and there are a number of good, strong, well-written female characters in it as well throughout the show. So I thought that was refreshing to see that. And I think we're going to see probably the same thing based on, right now, I'm just basing that on the trailer that I've seen for the Nevers, which starts today. But it's kind of refreshing to see that. And I did like the twist in Watson. I wasn't too happy with the way they played Sherlock, because he's basically a morphine addict in this. And
that part was okay, but
we're okay with that.
I mean, they didn't cover. I mean, the real Sherlock preferred, I believe, his cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
Having a bad day, and I'll do some cocaine about it.
So how much is this show revolve around Sherlock and Watson?
Very little really around Sherlock.
Watson hires the group of kids to go into the seedier parts of London and do or investigate things that he and Sherlock can't, because they're too high society and they won't be accepted in those parts of town. But Watson really hires them to check out these supernatural things, because he knows that one of the girls in the group has supernatural abilities.
Well, and Sherlock Holmes is on a 14-year bender.
Right. because he lost his lost his love 10 or 14 years ago, whatever the time
Something
is,
like it, yeah.
To a similar occult phenomenon. And since that point, there was a climactic event that happened back then, and he actually chose to save Watson instead of the love of his life. And so that sent him into this, 10 plus year bender, right? And
Watson just wished he would have died.
Watson
just seems like is done with everything, and it's just like, well, fuck everything.
Well, Watson loves Sherlock Holmes a whole lot.
He does. He loves him a whole lot in this one. And
a whole lot? Like how whole lot?
A whole lot.
We've seen those subtexts in Sherlock.
Yeah, more than anything. But
so that part I thought was good. I like having subtext even.
Yeah, the one thing I didn't really care for was the fact that they kind of downplayed Sherlock's insight and intelligence throughout the show. There was one example that kind of struck me as like, they didn't really need to do that, was where, they're in a group kind of talking about this occult thing and where do they go next? What are the next steps? And Sherlock's playing the violin by the window in his study, and he says, well, I propose we just wait and let something happen. And so everybody's like,
Sherlock Holmes.
Yeah, wait and let something happen.
Yeah, but then something did happen.
Yeah.
And nobody said no shit, Sherlock?
Well, that
was and the whole city of London's descending into chaos. Well, then all of a sudden there's a knock at the door, and the housekeeper or whatever comes in and says, hey, I have Inspector Lestrade from Scotland Yard here. And
something's happened.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, this is what I knew, and so everybody's impressed, thinking, oh, he's right on the money. So that gets him going on to the next leg. But as they're leaving the room there, Watson says to him, yeah, everybody else kind of may be impressed by that, but I know you saw the guy coming from when you were looking out the window playing the violin. So, don't act like you're all highfalutin super brain, kind of a thing.
Damn it.
This is my deal.
It was that kind of, it was that kind of deal where
it was awful. He got his deductions due to the tea he was drinking wrong.
Yeah, right.
In one of the scenes,
right? That was another scene where he
misjudged the tea.
He's going through withdrawal symptoms because they've got him chained up and he can't get to his heroin stuff, so he's going through withdrawals. And she's bringing him tea, and he's sipping the tea. And he said he asked her where he was, and based on that, he knows that the landlady that owns the building has a favorite kind of tea, and she always shops at this market, and her. That market specializes in this type of tea. So this is the type of tea, and blah, blah, blah.
And he's wrong.
And then she picks up the actual type of tea and she throws it at him, the package, and says wrong, and kind of walks out. It's like, they just minimized him the whole thing. And then later on, after he's kind of at the end of his withdrawal, and she walks into the room and he does the same kind of thing. It was a different type of tea. And he goes, oh, I know what this is. And tells her what it is. And he goes through his reasoning as to how he figured out what the tea is. And she grabs the package off the table and the camera shows it. And he's completely wrong, of course, again. But she tells him he's right, tells him, yep, right on. And, as a way, I think, of trying to build his confidence, but it just kind of like ruined it for me.
Are they downplaying that intentionally, though, because of the state that he's in? Like, is there a redemption thing for him down the road where he gets his smarts back, or is this just...
I don't know. Maybe. No, because didn't he... he died.
He died. He basically dies in the
He went through the...
He went through the rip into the netherworld at the end of it. I mean, sure, he could come back, so who knows?
Well,
but at this point...
unless you see a body...
No, but I'm sure it's all on purpose. This round and in this series, he's a lovesick puppy.
Yeah.
Unlike in the books.
Well, and it's more like John Watson is the real Dr. Watson's the real brain in this.
Behind the right.
Right. And he's sort of propping up Sherlock, I think, in many ways. But in summary, I did really like the series. I liked all of the characters. The story was really,
I still want to check it out, I think.
The story was really well written, very engaging. If you didn't know anything about Sherlock Holmes and the previous stories that were written, you'd be perfectly fine with it. You'd love it. It's a great show. And even if you did know about Sherlock, I encourage you to watch it because it's really, really
that
good.
is what bothers me about it, though, is people. Oh,
yeah, that was the one thing that I really care for, but
I don't. Yeah, it's just if you have, for the people that aren't Sherlock Holmes fan or haven't bothered with that genre yet,
you'll love it.
Well, yes, but it's also misleading and
get the wrong impression
of what Sherlock Holmes was like. This isn't selling you any encyclopedias.
No. And you have to buy into the whole, the occult is real and all this kind of supernatural stuff is real, and that there's no mundane natural explanation for what's going on.
Right.
Which you would expect from the regular Sherlock. So as long as you buy into all that, it's a great story, great acting, well written, good dialogue. I think people would really like it. So, and I do like it, even though I love the original Sherlock, I do like it too. So,
well, and remember Sherlock, the show with Benedict Cumberbatch that was out a few years ago. That kind of gave you a spin on Sherlock that you didn't really like either. He was kind of, not just the problem solver, but a little bit on the whack. What did he say? He was a highly functional sociopath.
Yeah,
is what he was. And I think you got to see some of that part of Sherlock there. That's as far as I want to go. I don't want to go any further. I don't want to go into the heroin den or the 10-year bender or anything like that.
Well,
so I'm with Charles on this one.
What did you think about the Robert Downing Jr. Sherlock Holmes?
Entertaining.
I liked him too. I enjoyed that one.
Well, see, I thought that was a lot because there was still a cult in that, which in the Sherlock Holmes stories, he is a tattoo expert and he does touch occult things. But like Bill said, there's always the mundane explanation. I get the way there's always something you can deduce.
Yes, right.
And the Sherlock Holmes movies, those two movies, they still, if I recollect, there was still science in the background,
right?
For the most part.
Right.
Yep.
Even if there was occult symbolism everywhere,
right?
Kind of like a Wild West version.
Yeah, and there's not really much science in this. I think the closest they come to science is that woman that's slowly replacing parts of her husband with parts that she steals from other people in order to get him past his life-ending illness, and she ends up creating a Frankensteinian monster, essentially.
Yeah, that was weird.
Which was weird, but so
I'm here for weird.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, so I liked it. I thought it was pretty enjoyable. So I'm hoping for big things from the Nevers tonight when that premieres. Looks to be a lot of what's that? Well, so that is basically takes place in the Victorian period again. It's got a very steampunk aesthetic from what I've seen.
Like that.
And apparently there's some sort of a UFO that flies through the skies of London, and these little orbs of light come out, and they descend on women throughout the city of London. And these women all develop these different powers, whether it's manipulating fire or, telekinesis or whatever. And there's a woman that kind of takes the lead and kind of creates a sort of X-Men-esque
League of Extraordinary Women.
Well, yeah, she creates like this X-Men-esque house where she brings all of these women in, and a lot of them were like, orphans or, women that had trouble or difficult lives or whatever. And so she brings them into this house and tries to get them all to work together. But there are people in the city of London, especially the rich elite, that view them as a threat, and are determined to kind of make them into a threat and eliminate them. And of course, there are some of the women that refuse to, kind of adopt a cautious approach to things, and they decide to use their powers for whatever they think will, benefit them. So, and that just plays into the elites' perception of them being a threat. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But it looks like a lot of strong women again in the lead roles. So we'll have to see where this goes. I'm looking forward to it. But it's a lot of more occult kind of thing.
Yeah, I'd have to think if you were a woman a woman from the lower classes in Victorian society, and all of a sudden you could control fire, you're gonna burn some shit down,
right?
Right. Or they're going to burn you as a witch. Like that's not that far from witch burning.
If you control fire, like toasty. Now it's your turn.
Yeah, right.
See how well that goes for them.
Yeah. It doesn't mean they wouldn't be stupid enough to try. Let's be honest.
She's a witch. She's a witch. Please don't make her angry.
Yeah. Right.
Everywhere with the British accent.
Well, and
they are in like British places, so it works this time.
Yeah. So you can see the one woman on the right in the image there. She's manipulating fire. I'm not sure what all the others' powers are exactly.
One appears to have umbrella powers.
Yeah, I think she's the one that creates the home for all these wayward women with powers and tries to protect them and get them to work together to try to better society, if you will. And then there's, of course, some women that are evil that she'll probably be going head to head with to try to keep them from ruining it for the rest of them. But there's also these corrupt elements in London society that are trying to get rid of them because they see them as a threat to their masculine authority sort of.
Well, that's exactly what would happen. Women had a place in this period, and so that would be a big threat to them. I mean, that's still a threat to some people now.
True.
Yeah, and the ability to throw lightning bolts would tend to upset that power structure.
Indeed.
I will say I've enjoyed the invasion, if you will, into the Victorian eras of sci-fi and fantasy.
Yes.
We have a lot of Victorian era type shows out there. You got your Bridgertons and stuff like that. But I'm definitely enjoying the sci-fi fantasy invasion of that.
Well, I think they're trying to, as things are opening back up, steampunk was really popular before COVID. It was getting more popular, books, cosplay, conventions. So it's like, it seems like as things are opening back up, they're trying to reinvigorate these things.
Yeah, and I'm loving the effort, and I can't wait for the ones that haven't watched it to jump into these because they're all kind of set around the same era, different takes on different things going on there. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, and I personally just love the steampunk aesthetic, especially when it comes to gadgets and gizmos, all the brass and the gears and the baubles and everything that light it up and what they do. I just think it's there's a craftsmanship to it that you don't necessarily see in a lot of futuristic sci-fi. Futuristic sci-fi is all sleek metal with glowy bits, that all kind of all
glowy bits.
Yeah, that kind of all fit seamlessly together. And then you have this, steampunk Victorian era aesthetic where you've got all these knobs and physical buttons that you push and throw and twist.
You turn a handle, you see things like gears move.
Right. That has a certain appeal for me. So it's the craftsmanship from the perspective of the studio artisans that are building this stuff, to make it look like it belongs in that period, and that it actually has function, and that it looks like it's got gears in it that move and everything. I love that.
Plus, the costumes are always so much more fun. Like
Yeah.
with like Star Trek, it's like everyone's in a one-piece
Unitard.
Starfleet jumper.
Yeah.
And when you've got steampunk, you can have like these dresses with the hats, the fascinators.
Sure.
Like
you can have
peppered with gears and little gadgets and doodads, and
you can have guys in kilts.
I mean, who doesn't want that?
As long as it's not a mini kilt.
As long as it's not what?
A mini kilt.
Mini kilt. They make
Right.
those?
They
Yes.
probably do.
Well, I suppose depending upon the guy wearing it, any kilt could be a mini kilt.
Nah.
Nah.
Yeah, we won't go there.
Well,
But yeah, it looks good. I'm excited for that show. So, are there Jenna? So you wanted to talk about actors that are coming up in sci-fi that are starting to make a name for themselves in the sci-fi field that maybe we aren't readily familiar with. You want to go into that a little bit?
So I would just say if people are, sad that The Mandalorian's done, but you love like Pedro Pascal, Ming-Na Wen, because she's getting a lot of light right now and attention, former voice of Mulan. She's in Battlestar Galactica. Like there's look at these actors that you really liked and check their IMDb profile, because I think there's a lot of actors that, we're used to saying, oh yeah, Carl Urban, King of the Nerds.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw an article about Henry Cavill, King of the Nerds, built his own computer. He's been in The Witcher and he's Superman.
Oh man, I saw that video of him building the computer, and I want that computer so bad.
So I think there's a lot of opportunities for people to get their sci-fi nerd fix. I know there's stuff coming out like, the Nevers and things like that, but these people are also in a lot of other things that would be worth checking out. Like I really liked Pedro Pascal in Prospect.
What was that about?
It was like basically a futuristic gold dig where this father and daughter go to some planet.
Oh, I meant to see that and I never did.
I think it's on Netflix, but I think that's where we watched it. But basically, they go out there because they're trying to get a substance to help pay off their debts, and they run into some mercenaries who want the same thing because it's supposed to be a big dig. And it's really cool because it's the sci-fi, it's the future, it's space and lasers, but it's that human getting back to the roots of it's not perfect future yet. It's obviously this transitionary period where stuff doesn't always work.
Right.
That the technology, you have to wonder about because an element that I really liked that they took into account was the oxygen on the planet is not just healthy, like it's toxic. So they have to have these breathers and share breathers that have filters that get taken out. And then you have to wonder, this dude's taking his daughter out and exposing her to these things because they have no other choice to get money. But probably in 20, 30 years, she's going to have issues later.
Right.
And that's what the people who will settle space will have to go through.
Yeah.
That's
I remember
seeing
I remember seeing a trailer for that, and I really wanted to see that. And then I must have missed when it finally got released. So I'll have to look for that.
Yeah, I think it's on Netflix. Yep, I think so. So yeah, check that out. But he was also in, Wonder Woman 1984. And like I said,
I liked his role in that in Wonder Woman.
It was just so flashy.
He was like he could sell anything. That was just his thing.
And he's been announced to be in the Last of Us TV show, which is
that'll be fun.
Yeah, he's going to be Joel Miller in that.
Oh, he's going to be Joel. Okay.
What's The Last of Us? I'm not familiar with that.
It was a zombie video game, and it's like really epic, good story.
Yeah.
Really dark.
Yeah.
Darker than Walking Dead.
Good
question. They're both equal dark.
Okay. All right.
But like in 16, who's also in The Great Wall with Matt Damon. And that's a fun action movie that you just don't get much of. And, ancient China, a group of European mercenaries encounters a secret army that maintains and defends the Great Wall of China against a horde of monstrous creatures.
Yeah, that was good. I like the Great Wall.
In The Last of Us, the zombies are cordyceps zombies, where like the zombie virus is like this spreading is spread by spores from these cordyceps fungus. And so the zombies are it's that fungus that'll take over ants, and basically make them do things to spread the spores to other things. Except it like mutates and gets into humans, and so you've got these zombies that have these like mushroom or fungal growths basically, and they like as the infection you've got the runny zombies that'll come at you, but then you've got the people who've been infected for longer who have these huge like fungal growths, and it's like it'll come out their eyes and blind them. And so in the game, they function through echolocation. So you have these stealth bits where it's really important to keep quiet, because if the zombies hear you, they like center in on you.
Well, that sounds like an interesting take on the whole zombie trope.
Yeah, and so some of the stealth portions will be you like throwing things to distract the zombies and get them in a different place.
Huh.
So it's
interesting.
I don't like people just because it's easy and they're being like, oh yeah, Henry Cavill, King of the Nerds. There's a lot of fun movies and there's a lot of actors because it's taken time for them to build up. Like they've been doing a lot of stuff for a while. Mm-hmm. So
and I think the first movie I saw Henry Cavill in, I think, was Frequency.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Wasn't that with Dennis Quaid?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That was pretty good. So that for those that haven't seen it, that was a very interesting thing where Henry Cavill plays Dennis Quaid's son, and Dennis Quaid was a fireman, and he got killed when Henry Cavill's character was just a small child, but his dad was into ham radio, and of course Henry Cavill lives in the house that was his father's house.
That's not Henry Cavill. Hang on.
It isn't?
Well, not unless he was the kid's son.
That's Jim Caviezel.
Oh, yeah. Shoot. Sorry. Yeah, I confused that up. But Frequency is still a very great movie.
It is a good movie. It's a very good movie.
Yeah, but anyway, the story is he for some reason he turns on the ham radio and starts playing around with it, and there happens to be a solar flare situation that's bringing the Arctic auroras much further south than they ever go, and that Arctic aurora creates some sort of a temporal radio inversion thing where his radio is now tied to that same radio in the past when his dad was still alive. And so he figures out, he starts having this conversation with this guy who has a ham radio, and he doesn't realize that he's talking to his father in the past. And when he does realize it, it's just a few days before his father is killed in this fire. And so he's trying to find a way to tell his dad that he realizes who he is and to warn him about this his possible death. And so it's a very good show.
There's actually a series that followed it.
Oh, there was?
CW, called Frequency.
To give you some credit though, like I totally did not realize Henry Cavill was Theseus in Immortals.
Oh,
like one of those Greek god movies that there was a spurt of there for a while.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was Humphrey in Stardust.
Yep, I was going to mention Stardust.
Oh,
small role in there, but yeah, he's Humphrey. Okay. You wouldn't know it.
No, so like that's what I would just say. Like as we close, check your actors' IMDb profiles, because there's a lot of people like they may be blowing up now, but they could have some really cool movies that you didn't realize they've been building up to this point. It's taken them a lot of work.
So,
and there could be some fun sci-fi other things in there that maybe you never heard of.
Are we gonna have another kind of next generation, an original cast or next generation cast that's gonna be the big get at conventions in the future?
Oh yeah.
Or is it gonna be so spread out that we have too many people to really kind of take that role of forever sci-fi superstar who's just like a fan favorite into forever, like Patrick
that's
Stewart.
True. It could be spread out too broad now. There's just too many things instead of the one thing. Because here's the thing, you only had like 8 channels when Star Trek was out.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's like, and even with cable, you were still restricted to the TV and movies.
Yeah.
And now people are no longer restricted to TV, and they can watch it on their phones, they can do whatever. They're not, and it's anytime versus a specific time slot. So you're not forcing people together.
Yeah. Well, I think
sorry.
Oh, yeah. I think the nice thing about that is that maybe it'll spread out the lines more at the autograph booths when you go to cons, right? Which would be nice. And
dream big, Bill.
Be some more panels from which to have to choose from. Shit, am I going to go to this panel and see this actor at the same time, which happens at the same time as this panel for this actor? So I think that's kind of cool because it, broadens the tent. Hopefully brings in a lot more people that become fans of sci-fi. And so I think that's a good thing. What were you going to say, Seth?
I think that the next kind of group or crew who's going to take over that kind of superstars at cons is going to be the cast of the original Avengers. Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans.
Yeah, probably.
Mark Ruffalo. That seems to me the kind of science fiction / fan event that will kind of immortalize them into kind of being those characters even long after the movies have maybe stopped, and they'll still be like Robert Downey Jr. will still be Iron Man, Chris Evans will still be Captain America.
Sure.
In fans' minds, like that those are the guys who I think will be the long-lasting ones, not the up-and-comers that Jenna's talking about, but kind of the next generation that bridges between the new up-and-comers and
you think we'll see the same thing with Star Wars, where you've got Luke Skywalker and Han Solo, which are legendary names, but now you've got the new actors that are picking up the last set of trilogy films. I think they would be a big draw at cons now for people that are more familiar with the newer films.
Well, has it happened yet? Because I think I would expect at some point, in order to be in one of these movies, you're going to have to sign up to do so many cons and enjoy them.
and you're going to pay
and you will enjoy it.
Yeah.
That's the contract.
Well, I mean, I don't know who, how many of the original series people had thought that would be a part of their life or the next generation.
Yeah, none.
Well, it might be just happens naturally. I could just see if I was the movie company, that would be a requirement.
I remember when the first Star Trek convention was announced, and it was years after the series had actually ended. Right. And nobody had ever really done such a thing before, and it was kind of a trend-setting thing. And now it's just commonplace. I mean, these cons happen everywhere, which is nice because it gives the fans a chance to go out and see their favorite actors and collect the memorabilia that's significant to them. That
you will enjoy this.
Yeah, and you see the actors go out, and I think in some ways it's good for the actors too, because they go out and they get to meet with their fan base, and they get appreciation for their work, and they get to hear stories about how their work maybe helped a person through a rough patch in their life, or maybe change the direction of their life. In the case of Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura on Star Trek, she became a role model to a lot of young Black women that saw this person of some authority that was on the bridge of the Enterprise that was Black like they were, and gave them hope that one day in the future that everybody would be treated as equals. So I think things like that are pretty cool. So,
or they get to meet their stalkers.
Well, there is that. Yeah. There's always that risk.
But no, so ending on that note, I think is a good one that, just, yay, we miss cons.
Yeah, and they're coming back. I mean, we were just talking before the show about how all of us are just on the verge of getting already have just gotten our second vaccine for COVID, or in the next few days or weeks, we'll be getting our next shot. So we're looking at given plus 14 days for it all to set in. We're looking at May for things to be enough people to be vaccinated that maybe we can start attending some cons in person again. So that's definitely something to look forward to.
I do have something I'd like to throw out though. If something that I'd like to see. Yeah. Which is if they're going to steal from detectives for sci-fi, which I'm good with, I love it. For sci-fi or fantasy, I'd like to see somebody do a show from Columbo.
Yeah.
Especially with ghouls.
Isn't that John Constantine?
Ghouls. Would that be John?
Isn't he basically Columbo, but with the Marvel universe?
Well, one, Constantine's with DC, Jenna.
Sorry.
Shame.
Look, my shot is setting in, and I'm going straight to bed after this. Like
This vision is just starting to go blurry.
I have been struggle busting for the last 30 minutes. I'll get through it, but my bed is sounding really good.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we'll probably go ahead and wrap it up so Jenna can go lay down and rest a little bit and deal with her second COVID vaccine shot.
Still go get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Cool. I hope you all enjoyed this episode of Galactic Driftwood. Be sure to check out our other episodes. You can find them all on galacticdriftwood.space. And we'll be back again in 2 weeks where maybe we'll have some first takes on the Nevers. And
the Nevers?
The Nevers or the Nevers?
The Nevers?
Nevers.
The Nevers. The Nevers. I don't know if I'll ever get over that. I'll probably always call them the Nevers, but maybe by then we'll have an official pronunciation. So anyway, thanks for listening, and we will see you all in a couple
We
weeks.
already have that official pronunciation. Nevers.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Galactic Driftwood Podcast. For more information and past episodes, please visit our website at galacticdriftwood.space or subscribe to us on YouTube. And now, please deactivate your cranial downlinks, collect your towels, and be sure to watch your step as you exit our gravity well.